Hey everybody, DeathsStalker here. So if you watched my last video about the first race at Valencia, you saw that I mentioned that Yamaha got tagged for cheating. So let's talk about it. Now, at the start of every season, the manufacturers submit detailed drawings on their current MotoGP engines, along with all the specifications. Things like, you know, the materials, the manufacturers of various parts, because motorcycle manufacturers don't necessarily make every part on the bike. A lot of it's some of the things might actually be subcontracted, and they certify that this is the current spec for the bike. And MotoGP issues seals for the engines. When they manufacture the engines, these seals get attached to them to say that this engine is certified as following the plans. Now, they don't actually build, like normally they get 7 engines. They don't actually build 7 engines at the start of the season. They usually build a couple, and they just keep building them and attaching the seals. That's nothing special. But what happened with Yamaha, Lynn Jarvis was interviewed by Simon Craffer about it, and he had to say that what was going on was apparently just as the season was beginning, the manufacturer of their valves notified Yamaha that they would no longer be able to produce them. Now, they didn't go into details about it, but it could be maybe it's too expensive for them to do it, or maybe they're going to a different area, material's too expensive. Maybe it could also be something as simple as the person who used to do the job retired, and they don't have anybody who can build something of that quality. But that's neither here nor there. So Yamaha got another company to produce the valves, the same plan, same material spec and whatnot. And what their plan had originally been from Yamaha was they were going to use up the supply of the previous valves, and when those valves were done, they were going to start using the new manufacturer's valves. Now, the valves are identical in dimensions, material, everything. But the problem is that in the specifications, they specify that these valves are made by company X to these specs, and the new ones are specified company Y. Now, if you watch the first race of the season, you know Yamaha had the first 2 races actually, they had 2 machines, their engines blow. They had valve problems, and it turned out the valves from the previous manufacturer failed. So these were the old valves, the old company valve. They hadn't even used the new valves yet, so they knew they had a problem. Not certain. They had applied to see that to make changes to the engine in a race season without a penalty, you have to get approval, and they submitted the request for the change to open up the engines to change the valves with the other company's valves. I don't know exactly what happened. Was the committee that oversees this wanted some more information, and for one reason or another, Yamaha didn't bother. You know, that they either withdrew it or stopped it. I don't know exactly what happened. Yeah, we have some people blocking the road. Oh well. So anyways, what happened then was the racing continued. Now, we, you know, as you know, no one really knew anything else was amiss. But what happened was something was going on behind the scenes that no one else seemed to be aware of, including the other manufacturers. And I guess Yamaha was going back and forth with the FIM about these engines and these valves, and it all dropped on the Friday, I think it was, or no, the Thursday actually. About Yamaha admitted to what they called was an administrative error and this is not the Yamaha race teams, this is the Yamaha factory in Japan. It was an administrative error where I guess they didn't file paperwork correctly or didn't whatever, and because of that, the first 2 races of the season, the ones where Fabio Quartararo won, Yamaha was found to have in the official rules actually cheated. Now, was there an advantage given or not? Not really, because judging by the fact they had several bikes, the engines blew up. Obviously, that wasn't the problem. But the rules are very, very important in racing, and somehow the FIM and Yamaha got together and they agreed on a penalty for doing this, which was they lost Yamaha, the manufacturer, lost their points from the first couple races for the manufacturer's championship, and the Monster Yamaha and the Harnonus Yamaha lost their points for the team championships. There was no penalty to the racers, and that kind of literally, to put it nicely, pissed off a lot of the racers, because in the past it didn't matter if your team cheated, you lost points as a racer. It wasn't your fault, but you got burned as well, and this didn't happen. And the interesting thing is Fabio Quartararo won his first ever Moto2 race, and that win was taken away from him because the team had put a non-spec oil into the engine. And like, that's how strict the rules are. You have to use, if you're saying you're using blue label engine oil, there better be blue engine oil in that motorcycle, or you're in violation of the rules. And the team had used something that wasn't approved, and Fabio lost the win. And this time around, it didn't happen. And as far as I'm aware, the rules hadn't changed. Now, apparently, the way the thing came down as far as the decision, it's non-appealable. So teams like Ducati and Suzuki are just, it's all, if you actually listen to the interviews with the team managers, they're not happy at all, but they're trying to be politically correct. And there's no question that Ducati, after all the grief they got for introducing the aerodynamics into the MotoGP, and pushback they got from Honda and Yamaha and Suzuki about aerodynamics, Ducati would appeal this at a drop of a hat. So anyways, it's kind of going to put a cloud on the championship now, because should one of the Yamaha racers, like especially Fabio, win the championship, those first 2 races are really going to, sort of stand out. So when you talk about the cloud of, someone winning the championship because Marc Marquez isn't there, well, how would you like to win the championship because your team got caught, even with your team getting caught cheating? So you can sort of see how things are going. So I tell you, this MotoGP season is better than most soap operas as far as I'm concerned. So anyways, if there's any interviews and whatnot linked, I'll link them in below if they're available for like general view without needing a MotoGP season pass. But it's quite an unusual thing to see at this level. Normally the teams are much better, but hey, seems like all's fair in love and war, and racing too. Anyways, DeathsStalker signing off.